Shock, sadness, and anger gripping San Francisco's tech community today over the death of tech executive and investor Bob Lee. Friends say Lee was stabbed on the street a block from Google's San Francisco headquarters and succumbed to his injuries. It happened around 2:35 yesterday morning on Main Street near Harrison and Folsom. Lee was the chief product officer and the cryptocurrency payment platform MobileCoin, and he was previously chief technology officer of the payment app Square. ABC 7 News reporter Amanda Del Castillo has reaction from friends and city leaders.
The shock of the stabbing death of Cash App founder Bob Lee is reaching far beyond the tech industry. Friends and colleagues of the 43-year-old father and tech executive sharing their frustration about what happened.
I actually lived right where he got killed, and I used to walk there all the time at night. And I did start slowly feeling less and less safe. And that's part of the reason why I moved. I'm in Vegas now. I lived in San Francisco for 20 years, and I feel like I got ran out of that city because they're not upkeeping it.
MMA fighter Jake Shields says the two have been good friends for about 5 years, with plans to meet in Miami as soon as tomorrow.
You know, we were supposed to hang out tomorrow night, so that's a little strange. It like just happened, so my mind's still processing it. You know, when you lose someone, you're just like, damn, this is not expected. I know he had two daughters as well that he loved quite a bit, so that adds quite an element of sadness to it.
Shields sharing beyond Lee's high-profile tech resume. He hopes Lee is remembered for being an all-around good guy.
He was a humble, nice guy. You know, talked about his kids a lot, family. Just a generally good guy. Like I said, he's the kind of guy to give you phone calls and talk about issues, and there's not many people like that anymore.
We met Gordon Wong, returning to work along the block where the deadly stabbing happened. Police confirmed the deadly attack happened around 2:35 Tuesday morning near Main Street at Harrison.
The stabbing doesn't surprise you at this point?
Oh, not at all. But 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be at home. You know, that's so sad. Young man.
This is not a city where anybody should fear for their lives at 2:30 in the morning. This is a city that has a vibrant nightlife, and we should be safe 24 hours a day. There's no crime worse than homicide this is something that's just unacceptable.
Lee, no doubt a major force in the tech world. He was the chief product officer at MobileCoin, a cryptocurrency company. Before his current job, he acted as CTO of mobile payment app Square and the creator of Cash App. Early in his career, he also worked at Google. MobileCoin issued a statement describing in part, Bob surely had an impact that will last far beyond his short time on Earth. This may sound impressive, but Bob's real resume is the hearts and minds he touched in his time on Earth. Bob's legacy is the feeling that you can make a difference if you try. And of course, his amazing children. I'm Amanda Del Castillo, ABC 7 News.
Some of those who knew Bob Lee best spoke with our media partner, the San Francisco Standard. Joining us live now with more on what they've shared about Lee's life and death and the possible implications on the city struggling to recover from the pandemic, the Standard's senior reporter, Jonah Owen Lamb. Jonah, thanks for your time today.
Pleasure to be here as always.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of reporters covering this, as do we. And you saw in Amanda's piece, she walked us through what happened. But since then, the Standard has seen video provided by sources that offers additional insight that perhaps makes it even more tragic. What can you tell us about that video?
Well, the video that I viewed shows Bob Lee, or someone looking like Bob Lee, walking up Main from the Bay Bridge towards Harrison. And then at Harrison, he seems to lift his shirt up as he approaches a car that is stopped on the corner with its flashers on. The car then drives away. He falls to the ground. He gets up again and then walks back on Main the way he came, but on the other side of the street, and falls down. The blood that I saw at the scene also tracks what that video seemed to show. So that's what the video shows. Again, we don't know what happened. We don't know how he died other than there was a stabbing. I think there's a lot of speculation going on here about what this means for the city. It could have very well been a random attack. It also could be any other number of explanations. So I think it's important for us to remember and continue to stay on top of what actually happened and not try to extrapolate some meaning from this event until we know the actual facts of the tragic event.
Yeah, the investigation is in its earliest stage, of course. But in terms of what you saw, presumably he tried to show his wound to the driver of that car. And while we don't know for sure the person saw him before driving away, it is possible, looking at that video to you, that somebody saw an injured man and left, drove off without doing anything?
Yeah, I mean, he was very close to the car. It looked like he was trying to show the car's driver that he was injured by lifting his shirt. The car seemed to be stopping in that corner, maybe waiting for someone. I don't know if it was a driver trying to pick someone up, but there was nobody else on the street. Nothing else was going on. It was in early mornings of the hour. So that person either saw something or didn't, but I would be surprised if they didn't see him doing what he did. It's also, when he was walking in that direction, before he approached the car, he was holding the spot where it appears he may have been stabbed, and also talking or doing something with his phone, maybe indicating that he was calling someone. It's unclear at this point.
And tell us about that area. Isn't that near all the luxury condos, generally considered a safer part of the city where something like this is rare?
Hill. Yeah, Rincon Hill is a really safe part of the city, but the city is a safe place in general. I mean, I think we need to remember that the homicide rate per 100,000 in San Francisco is some of the lowest in the nation. I mean, many other places, very small cities, have far higher rates of homicide. I think lots of homeless people and streets that don't feel safe don't necessarily mean that the city is full of homicidal maniacs, which it isn't. So I mean, much of the city is quite safe. This neighborhood was also, like you said, there's some offices, there's lots of condos, some of them expensive condos. It's not a very busy part of the city, other than at rush hour. It's right by the Embarcadero. There's maybe one bar nearby. There's not a whole lot going on. But yeah, I would say it's one of the safer parts of the city. But again, I think the city's pretty generally safe wherever you go.
Well, and Google's headquarters in San Francisco are right there as well, or is there? But talking about safety, right? You're looking at numbers, but at the same time, you are looking at incidents such as this one, and it rattles people. And since last year's election and the DA's recall, public safety has certainly been a hot button issue and priority number one. Has this stabbing already reignited the debate?
I mean, lots of people, I think, are speaking out of hand without the actual details of what happened. We just don't know. They're making this out to be a signal of San Francisco's death spiral or some other kind of interpretation that I think is really unfounded. We do not know what happened. Until you do, we can't make these kind of statements. I think people like to say these things about San Francisco all the time. This is a common thing to say when things are looking bad and you just pile on. Again, I think we should look at the numbers, and we should remind ourselves what happened when Kate Steinle, a woman from the East Bay, was accidentally shot on a pier not far from this incident, right when Trump became president, and he used this to attack San Francisco, to attack what he called the unsafe streets. So similar kinds of interpretations without any basis in the facts can be made now in the same light, and I think it's just as irresponsible. So I think we just need to be careful. Let's find out what happened. If, in fact, this is some bellwether of San Francisco's decline or into some kind of more violent place, then fine. But let's wait until the facts actually line up before you can just make things up based on what you imagine the world to be.
Sure. One of the headlines and one of the articles on the Standard today saying Bob Lee killing a tipping point in a city fed up with crime. We shall see. Jonah Owen Lamb, thank you so much. Really appreciate your coverage.
Thank you.